Hello, this is wmpyr. Thank you for tuning in to another lesson. Hope you're having a good one. Let's get started. Alright, so for today's lesson, we're actually going to put down the sticks and we're going to be working just empty hand, okay? One of the frequently asked questions that I get from you guys is on footwork. Now, I have made several videos on footwork, even though it's pretty difficult for me to show that just because of the filming area. So a lot of times I don't cover footwork, but still I have made some videos on it, so please look it up. They're in YouTube land somewhere, so please check those out if you're interested. But in this video I want to talk about footwork. I want to show you some exercises that you could actually do, but the main focus here is to present the overall picture for footwork, just a basic game plan. Okay, so the first thing is in an altercation type situation, you're going to have to decide if you're going to fight or flight. And once you decide that you are going to have to fight, let's say you have to fight in order to run away, alright? So let's say you're in that situation and you've decided, yes, I'm going to have to fight my way out, so you're going to fight. What happens to most people at this point is that it's very common. This is very natural. It happens to just about everybody. The first thing is you're so tense, you stop breathing. You forget about breathing. You don't breathe well, or you don't breathe at all. You hold your breath. So that's number one. Number two is your lower body it doesn't come into play. It's all about, you're so tense up here and you're throwing big old bombs like this, and you're doing this while you're holding your breath, and your legs, they're just not there. So that's why a lot of times you see people, make these big old swings like this, and they fall over because the legs aren't really active. The legs aren't really participating well at all. So, the balance is poor. People fall over. It could be with bare knuckle, or it could be with like a baseball bat, or you have some kind of weapon, which could be even worse. Now your balance can be compromised even more. A good example of this, it also happens in grappling. If you go to your average Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school, a commercial BJJ school, you're going to see when a beginner comes in, that's pretty much what they do once sparring time occurs. In sparring time, they hold their breath, it's intense, they come at you, they're real stiff, and they spaz, and the legs don't do anything. That's very, very common, once again. So the lessons that we can learn from that is, number one, we want to breathe. How do we practice that? One thing that you guys can do right now is Halloween. It's perfect. So watch a horror film and, don't cover your eyes. Don't sit way far back. Actually go up to the screen. Face your fears. All right? And don't turn down the volume, and go right up to it. And when a scary scene comes up, that's when you practice your breathing. You're like, and try to calm yourself, try to control yourself. So the first thing is, just be aware that everything is intense. It's super intense. This is the real deal. So you have to accept that. So your breathing is going to reflect that. You're in an intense situation, so you're not going to be breathing calm and normal. At first, you have to accept it, so you're going to be breathing intense, just like the situation is intense. That's the first step. The second lesson that we can learn from the natural instinct is the legs don't come into play. So that's why in martial arts, in traditional martial arts, one of the first things they have you do is to practice your stance. Whether it's like this or like this, whatever the case, they work on the stance, and they work on that constantly, all right? My advice and exercise that you guys can do is we can go into a horse stance, all right? So basically you're just going to lower yourself out like this. You have your feet wider than shoulder width, okay? And have your toes pointed straight, or it could be a little bit out, all right? I'm not going to go into specifics here. Depending on the style, there's different ways to do it. But just get into a wide stance. And then from here, what I like to do is just holding this is boring, okay? And you don't have to go super low like this where now it's really difficult. So I call this like a medium half squat, okay? So you're doing a half squat and just go up and down like this, up and down, up and down. So what you're doing here is you're working on your base. At the same time, you are strengthening your muscles. So you're getting exercise. So just go 1, 2, 3, like so. And once you start getting more comfortable with this, what you can do is you could actually punch. So as you go down, you're dropping your weight. That's when you're dropping into a punch right there. Boom, 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 like so. Shh, 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 shh. So you can get some reps that way. Like I said, 3 minutes I think is a good idea. And this is not a full squat, so you don't have to worry about damaging your knees too much. You know, I would still stick with the general ideas, like don't make your knees go past your toes and stuff like that. But at the same time, since this is only a half squat, like I said, it's going to be less harsh on your body. But you could still get a decent workout doing this. Now, even though that was primarily exercise oriented, there's a lot of things that you can do to it. So you could start off standing very straight like this, and you could start going 1, 2, and 3. And now you come down to that half squat position. And then you can go back up like this and go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So you could include that in your practice. And also another thing I like to do is to go once again into the half squat position from here, and then you're going to push off onto one leg. Come back into the half squat, push off onto the other leg. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Once again, another form of exercise. You're just strengthening your lower body, and you're becoming more aware of a stance. So if you get shoved or whatever, you know, you're off balance, you'll go into a stance, and you'll know when is the right time for you to fire back. If you are not in that position, then you should be, you know, doing your best to recover until you could get into a more solid base. But that's the first step, is to learn when you're in base and when you're not in base. Alright, so I know this video is supposed to be about footwork, and right now you're going, where's the footwork? Well, we're working our way there, because once again, I want to show you guys a general map. So the first thing is the breathing shuts down, okay, and then the legs don't come into play. So what we wanted to do was we wanted to fix those problems. So work on your breathing, and then number 2 is actually work on your stance, okay. So from the stance, there is a problem with that, okay. When you have a solid stance, yes, that's much better than not having a stance and just trying to fight from there where you're very, very off balance. But if you do have a stance, now you can strike and you're in good base, okay? But the problem with this is that you're going to be trading shots with your opponent, because now you're solid right here, you're still. So they could be hitting you and you could be hitting them. And one of the things that I personally learned in martial arts is that I want strategy and skill, those two things, to be my dominant guideline. Okay, so I want it to be all about strategy and skill. If I stay here and I trade shots with my opponent, that's not strategy, that's not skill. It's going to be the bigger, stronger, more aggressive dude's going to win. And that's not the game that I want to play. I don't want to see who's tougher. So that's a problem with that. Even though I'm in a good base now, so that's where footwork comes in. Footwork, the main idea for footwork is I don't want to get hit. Now the first type of footwork that is taught in stick fighting, Kali, Arnis, Eskrima, in Filipino martial arts, is this, where you're going off in a 45-degree angle. Okay, so the basic way that I could show it to you without showing the legs right now, because I can't, right here is right now I'm standing square. My feet are square. Okay, and then from here I'm just going to, my left leg goes to the middle. So right here I shift and my left leg is now in the middle of where I was. Okay, left leg goes to the middle and right leg comes to an angle right here. Okay, and now when I recover, my right leg goes to the middle and my left leg goes off to the angle right here. Okay, to a 45-degree angle. So it goes 1 and 2. Okay, so you can see, boom, I could even do that with a quick hop, which is much more combat realistic, because you're not going to go 1, 2, 1, 2. That takes too long. It's going to be boom, boom, like so. Boom, So what I'm doing here, once again, is that if you look at me right now, it almost looks like a karate type stance, okay? But I'm at this angle right here. My left leg is where I was before, and my right leg is off to an angle. So my feet are doing this right now. This is exactly what my right leg is on the front, my left leg is to the back. And what they're going to do is this right leg is going to come here, and the left leg is going to come here. Left leg's going to come here, right leg's going to come here. So let me actually demonstrate that. So my right leg is going to come right here, left leg is going to come out to the left side over here. Left leg is going to come to the middle, and my right leg is going to take me out over here. So this is the basic triangular angling footwork that they teach you. Now, please practice that. And I showed this in videos, and you know what, this is very easy to find on YouTube. A lot of people show this. They put down the sticks in a V shape, and they practice this. However, what they don't tell you, or what I haven't seen, is that that is a technique, okay? And the main thing to understand about a technique is that it's difficult to pull it off, okay? It's difficult to pull off any technique. If you watch a boxing match, okay, the technique is the KO, okay? So it could be an uppercut and you knock the guy out. It could be a right cross and you knock the guy out. That's the technique. However, if you watch a boxing match, it could take 12 rounds of them trying to set up, trying to fake out the opponent, try to wear them down, play mind games, play, you know, a game of skill, essentially, is what they're doing. And it could take 12 rounds, and it still may not happen. The technique may never happen. The uppercut and then knock out the guy, that may not happen at all right? You may not get that. So that just tells you how difficult it is for the technique to actually happen, all right? But what makes the technique happen is all the ugly stuff that's going on. Most traditional martial arts people only practice technique. That's why it's beautiful. You know, you go into class, the instructor's right here, and then the student throws a punch, and the instructor's like, okay, so you move out of the way right here, and then boom, uppercut, and he goes down. That's textbook. But the reality is it doesn't happen that easily. You have to have head movement. You're going to take a couple of shots. You're going to be moving around. You're getting tired. He's getting tired. And there's all that ugly stuff going on that you see. So that's the same thing with this footwork right here. You can't expect to just pull off a 45-degree angle right away in a combat situation. If you do, I mean, you have to have a huge advantage over your opponent. There has to be something like complete element of surprise to your advantage. You have to have a huge advantage to just be able to pull that off. So what it takes is, this is why I teach you guys the boxing circular footwork. So you're using circular footwork from boxing, and that is not as awesome as being able to just go boom, in a 45-degree angle, and then boom, I could do a heaven six, or I could just, you know, arm wrench the guy, get him into a takedown. I mean, if I pull off the 45-degree angle, I'm already right here on the guy. I'm heading towards his blind spot. I'll take his back at half a beat from there. That's awesome, but you can't expect to just be able to do that so easily. So 90% of the time, you're going to be working on circular footwork, you know, and you're going to be working towards getting the right timing for the 45-degree angle. So until then, it's going to be this kind of stuff, and you're moving out of the way, and you're trying to keep distance, manage the distance so you don't get hit. That is the ugly stuff, but that's why I encourage you guys to do that. Okay, so the concept behind the circular footwork in boxing, kickboxing, and MMA is that when my opponent is standing like so, I'm trying to head towards their back. If I head this way, then I'm walking into two different weapons right there. You know, that's the general concept. It gets a lot deeper than that, but that's the general thing to see. Now, that's where the circular footwork comes in. At a glance, it looks like I'm just moving sideways, but actually I'm making a circle. What does that mean? It means that this is a circle, my opponent is in the middle, and I'm on the outside. So what I'm doing is, if they're facing, let's say, downwards this way, then I'm working to their side, working towards their back. That's all it is. What makes it hard is this, the middle right here, they are going to be moving around. They're going to be moving wherever, okay, and they're also going to be turning. So that's what makes it difficult. It's not just, boom, I get to his side, boom, I take his back, and that's it. No, he's moving too, you know, so that's what makes it hard. But this is a more basic type of footwork that you could actually use immediately. And then once the timing is right, then you could use the 45 degree and enter in, because that's essentially what you're doing. If you enter in at the wrong time, you could get counterattacked. Lots of bad things can happen to you. So that's why the boxing, the circular footwork that I just showed you right now, this is more basic, and this is kind of like your fundamental. Do this, and then when you see the right time, then you're going for the 45 degree angle and enter in and try to take their weak, try to attack them from where they are weak. That's what you're trying to do. So the concept is once again the same as, like, let's say in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you have submissions, which are like triangles, arm bars, you know, ankle locks, that kind of thing, right? You have to understand that you can't just immediately get that. If you get that, if you could just grab a person and get an armbar, grab a person and get a triangle, that means this person, it was a lot inferior, a lot more inferior to you. You had a huge advantage if you could just grab it and get a triangle. The real life is you have to get guard, and you have to work all kinds of setups. You have to wear them down. Maybe you have to strike them a couple of times. Even from the mount position, you strike them, wear them down, and set them up, and then you can get a triangle. So that's kind of the idea. It's the exact same thing. You're trying to fake them out, throwing jabs, you know, all this kind of thing, and then try to get the 45 degree angle. So anyway, I hope this helps and gives you guys you know, kind of an idea, or at least one type of idea for the overall picture, and helps you kind of create your game plan. So anyway, thank you for watching, and take care, folks.